Namaskar. A warm welcome to World News and Indian Perspective on All India Radio. This is R.S. Raghu and with me is Aditi Lumba bringing glimpses of the major developments of the day from across the globe. Over the next half an hour, we shall bring you the latest from the world of politics, economy, sports, entertainment and more. The headlines. New Delhi calls for restraint and mutually amicable solution to Ukraine-Russia crisis at emergency session of UN Security Council. Air India flight from Ukraine carrying over 240 Indian nationals takes off from Kiev for Delhi. India dispatches first wheat shipment as humanitarian assistance to Afghanistan. External Affairs Minister of India Dr. S. Jaishankar welcomes European Union's commitment to contribute to security of Indo-Pacific region. China says it will work on early return of Indian students to the country in a coordinated manner. And in chess, Indian Grandmaster R. Pragnananda defeats world champion Magnus Carlsen in Airthings Masters competition. With the new Omicron variant of coronavirus causing concern, we appeal to our listeners to be vigilant and to get fully vaccinated and help others, including children between 15 and 18 years, to get vaccinated. Please continue to follow these 3 simple steps to stay safe. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing and focus on hand and face hygiene. For any COVID-related information and guidance, contact National Helpline number 011-2397-8046 and 1075. And now the news in detail. India has stressed on finding a mutually amicable solution to Ukraine-Russia crisis and called on all sides to exercise restraint. A report.
During an emergency session of the UN Security Council convened by Ukraine along with the US and the UK, India expressed deep concern over the escalation of tensions along Ukraine's border with Russia. India's permanent representative to the United Nations, T.S. Tirumurthy, said, "Quiet and constructive diplomacy is the need of the hour." He said any steps that increase tension may best be avoided by all sides in the larger interest of securing international peace and security.
We cannot afford to have a military escalation. As we have emphasized before, the Minsk agreements provide a basis for a negotiated and peaceful settlement, and we need greater efforts to find common ground to facilitate the implementation of the provisions of the Minsk agreements, including key security and political aspects. The safety and security of civilians are essential. More than 20,000 Indian students and nationals live and study in different parts of Ukraine, including in its border areas. The well-being of Indian nationals is a priority to us.
The emergency meeting of the UNSC was called hours after Russian President Vladimir Putin announced he was recognizing the independence of the breakaway regions of Donetsk and Luhansk. Indian embassy in Kiev on Tuesday advised Indian students to leave Ukraine temporarily in the interest of their safety rather than wait for an official confirmation of online classes from universities. In an advisory, the embassy said it is receiving a large number of calls asking about the confirmation of online classes by medical universities. The Indian embassy informed it is engaged with the respective authorities for streamlining of education process for Indian students. Abhishek Mukhopadhyay for World News, All India Radio.
The first convoy of 50 trucks carrying 2,500 empty of wheat assistance from India to Afghanistan via Pakistan was flagged off on Tuesday in a ceremony at Amritsar in Punjab. Foreign Secretary Harshvardhan Shringla along with Afghan Ambassador Fareed Mamunzai and World Food Programme WFP representative and country director to India Bisho Parajuli flagged off the convoy.
Afghanistan is undergoing a humanitarian crisis. India has had historic and civilizational ties with the people of Afghanistan. Keeping in view these close ties, it has been decided to extend humanitarian assistance to Afghanistan in the form of 50,000 tons of wheat. The first consignment, consisting of some 2,500 tons.
The External Affairs Ministry said the shipment is part of the commitment made by the Government of India to support 50,000 metric tons of wheat for the people of Afghanistan. The wheat assistance will be delivered in multiple consignments and will be handed over to the United Nations World Food Programme in Jalalabad, Afghanistan. The ministry said India remains committed to its special relationship with the people of Afghanistan. In an exclusive interview with All India Radio, WFP Country Director Bisho Parajuli praised India's pledge to supply a total of 50,000 metric tons of wheat for the people of Afghanistan through the WFP. He highlighted that India has made tremendous progress in the field of food security during the last 50 years. Mr. Parajuli said India has become a food surplus country from a food dependent country, and its food security system is an example before the world. In our hotspot segment today, our Foreign Affairs editor Dr. Atul Tiwari is in conversation with the World Food Programme India Country Director Bisho Parajuli. Mr. Parajuli emphasized the need of more partnerships between India and WFP.
Namaskar and welcome to this edition. We have with us Mr. Bisho Parajuli. Mr. Bisho Parajuli joined as the World Food Programme representative and country director to India in September 2019. He has more than 35 years of experience in development, humanitarian affairs, diplomacy, fundraising and management in over 10 countries in Asia, Middle East and Africa, and WFP headquarters in Rome. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Atulji. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm delighted to talk to All India Radio. It's one of a historic radio channel and very, very informative. Thank you very much indeed.
We begin our discussions on a note that India has offered to supply 50,000 metric tons of wheat to Afghanistan, and very soon these supplies are going to be initiated from the Pakistan land route to Afghanistan. And we are thankful to World Food Programme to have partnered in this initiative. As listeners might recall, very recently, the Indian Embassy in Rome signed an agreement with the World Food Programme office there to see to it that the supplies of 50,000 metric tons of wheat are facilitated so that they reach out to the needy and the poor people in Afghanistan. So it's a really welcome sign of partnership in terms of India and the UN agency. Your take on this, sir?
The World Food Programme is really delighted for India's offer of partnership with the World Food Programme to help the people of Afghanistan. In fact, I have participated in similar types of partnership in Yemen when I was previously posted. So it is a great news that India joining hand to help Afghani population, and India showing its humanity in the crisis time where Afghanistan is faced by a serious food crisis. Almost half of the population are hungry, and therefore any support and all the support countries can provide would be a big help. And of course, India's support is absolutely warmly welcome, and in WFP we want to see this only as a beginning and want to have increased cooperation between the World Food Programme and India in Afghanistan, in other countries in crisis. In fact, there is so much food insecurity in the world, and India has been blessed in many ways with plenty of food and good harvest, abundance, major transformation in its production. So absolutely delighted of this partnership.
The World Food Programme, I saw on the Twitter, has lauded India's initiative and said that this agreement opens the door for a fruitful relation, and more such humanitarian aid efforts will be coming in the times to come with the help of other organizations. In the current situation, how is World Food Programme going to facilitate the supply of wheat to Afghanistan?
You know, the first agreement which we have just signed is for a start of the amount which you refer. It's for about 10,000 tons. And India is going to be delivering this in Kandahar. And from there, WFP, with its own structure and manpower and logistics setup it has, will take it to the farthest point in and within Afghanistan. In fact, WFP currently has about 176 trucks of its own. It's going to increase over 200 units, and it has close to 580 staff in Afghanistan. So because what we make sure in WFP is the food reaches to the people who need it. And this is what we ensure in our program and operations across the world.
You mentioned that the premier UN agency ensures that the food reaches out to the needy and the people who really require it. Many international agencies and the governments have said that one of the key issues in terms of outreach of the aid in Afghanistan is to ensure that it should be distributed in a non-discriminatory manner. How are you going to ensure it?
All humanitarian aid follow humanitarian principle, which is making it delivered to the needy without any discrimination, non-interference, and in a way that there is a full accessibility. The good thing is WFP has been in the country for many years through the thick and thin periods, and we have proven ourselves as a humanitarian, and we are trusted partners across the world. And everybody knows WFP, when it's involved, it makes sure everyone needing receives it. And furthermore, WFP also ensures to its donors that there is a full accountability of the aid WFP receives and reported and accounted. So therefore, we have a full mechanism through the network of staff, the partner civil society organization, and trucks, the logistics mechanism. So we're expert in that. So, we make sure it happens, and we're trusted by everybody.
We saw India made the offer way back in October. Then the negotiations went on for about 3 months. And then finally, India signed an agreement with the World Food Program. In the meanwhile, the contours of the program, how it will be distributed, how it will reach out, all this process, how has it evolved, and what level the deliberations were held?
First of all, it also has been a COVID period, sadly. And we had a third wave of COVID. Sadly, that has had some element of delays in formalizing these. And also the transiting part, I guess India was negotiating the transiting. Maybe there was some time into that process. But the moment we signed off on our cooperation, we have laid down everything. My colleagues in the country have worked out, and we are ready to sort of take the food to the mouth of those who really need it. And we take a pride in our commitment to save lives and improve lives, and it is a huge challenge. The overall need for humanitarian aid, the food component for WFP, is about $220 million per month. So it's over $2 billion operation. It's at the moment there is 7 million people are being covered, and the target is to reach 22 million. Imagine the scale we are looking at it. And sadly, a huge number of people are considered extremely vulnerable and verged of famine. And we as a humanity cannot afford to do that. And therefore, India joining in with WFP, supporting the Afghan, is absolutely a welcome. And it also sets the principle of Vasudeva Kutumbakam of India.
If I can recall, some time back, you wrote a piece of article regarding how India's food security network during the COVID times has really shown it to the world that how you can reach out to the people during the hard times. Your take on this aspect?
I wrote a few months back precisely to share this good lesson and to demonstrate that how one should address these type of food concern of food insecurity and nutrition issues, and in terms of policy, in terms of activities, in terms of outreach. In terms of policy, India has this food security law, which makes it obligatory to provide these support programs. This is number one. Number two, during the crisis time like this time, India used those existing programs to launch under Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana, these new program for 2 years to top up, because people had lost jobs and they had no source of income. And that time protecting and supporting citizens with the basic thing, food, great example. So therefore, it was great. Furthermore, there were, although lockdown, other things, there were priority put on delivery of food, farm produced, harvest, marketing and everything. So those moved smoothly. And furthermore, I was looking at some of these statistics you will see in my op-ed. The railway doubled its capacity. In fact, the communities, institutions joined in to provide cooked meal. There were volunteers serving thousands of hot meals. Some of these states dropped the restriction on ration cards, and everybody who needed it were given. And there were provision of cash support, there were kitchen, lunch, and there were public announcements to say that if anyone doesn't have food or need food, reach out these numbers. Very impressive.
It has been said that the technology has really been a game changer in terms of if you talk of reaching out a product from the folk to the farm, to the field, to the people. The role of technology in the evolution of agriculture and also in terms of making the food security an operational concept. How has World Food Programme contributed to it, and what are the scopes of this technological integration of ideas and thoughts with the countries in the region?
Frankly, if I say too much about what I have seen and what India is doing, it sounds like patronage, but it's not patronage. I'm just stating the facts. India has embraced technology in every front, and that is really a fantastic and great example. I mean, the reference I made about farmers bringing the food and receiving cash within 48 hours, it happens because of technology. And it happens because technology, the farmers receive an SMS saying, bring your supplies. Now, this public distribution program, which provides food ration to 800 million people, they have a biometric record at these fair price shops, either the thumb or the iris. I have witnessed it in many fair price shops. The people come, there is no card, they come, they put their thumb on this, and then in this little box, their detail comes in, and then they are given the food immediately. So what it does? Paperless, bogus recipients are dropped, and there is a technology to confirm an account, what has been received. And so the more recent is One Nation, One Card system, which India has introduced. Anyone from any part of India going to the other parts and carrying ration card, they can benefit from that. So I think there is a full advantage being taken of the technology. I think that is the right thing to do. And I would tell you one more thing. We have been always part of this process. 2008 or so, we piloted this biometric system in Odisha. That has become a national level. We have also now introduced a system, we are still trying, a grain ATM, which is dispensing you grain, same way as other biometric system. You go to that ATM, you put your thumb, and then depending on your entitlement, you draw the grain.
So it's something like a food ATM?
Absolutely. We call it Annapurti. We have given an Indian name for it, and it's done in joint partnership with the Department of Food. We have now in Haryana, UP, and Odisha. And we are planning to introduce in a number of other states, but we are improvising the speed of drawing down the quantities and creating it independent. So a laborer cannot go during daytime because he is a wage earner. Can go in the evening or morning and take his or her ration.
Really nice to listen from you these good words, Mr. Parajuli. The World Food Programme Country Director in India. What is your favorite food?
Oh, I love all sorts of food. Last week I was in Odisha. I enjoyed Odia food very much. Seafood. In fact, I went to the market because I always like to also see what's fresh in the market and what's the economy and all that. My favorite is dal and also lots of vegetables. I like biryanis.
So it seems you are quite a proponent of healthy, nutritious food, and the things you mention are quite rich in protein.
Yeah, I make a very conscious effort, to be honest, not to eat too much of calorie at my age. And also, I make sure I have a balanced intake in my daily consumption between calorie, protein, vitamin and mineral. I don't take any artificial support tablets or anything like that. I do exercise every day.
Rightly so, as the people and the nation, all of them, they look forward to the ideas which contribute towards the growth of a healthy nation and healthy continent in the times to come. Pleasure talking to you, Mr. Parajuli. Thanks a lot for sharing your valuable time and sharing your insights with our listeners.
Thank you very much for this opportunity.
This is All India Radio, giving you the news. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on Twitter at AIR News Alerts.
External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar has welcomed European Union, EU's commitment to contribute to the security of the Indo-Pacific region. In his remarks at the opening session of the EU Ministerial Forum on Indo-Pacific in Paris on Tuesday, Dr. Jaishankar said, the tides of the Indo-Pacific region will help shape the century. He added collective efforts can keep the oceans peaceful, open and secure, and at the same time contribute to conserve its resources and keep it clean. The minister emphasized that distance is no insulation and issues countries confront in the Indo-Pacific will extend beyond, even to Europe. Dr. Jaishankar said, the EU can also promote economic development, infrastructure, connectivity, digital transformation, climate change, biodiversity and human-centric concerns like health besides security. He said India welcomes EU's global gateway for these reasons. The minister said EU's strategy is consistent with India's vision of a free, open, balanced and inclusive Indo-Pacific region anchored in ASEAN centrality. He added that India's approach is broad-based and emphasizes multilateralism, plurilateralism and collective action. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar met his Spanish counterpart José Manuel Alvarez on the sidelines of EU Ministerial Forum on Indo-Pacific in Paris on Tuesday. He welcomed Mr. Alvarez's enthusiasm and commitment on India-Spain bilateral ties. The minister said he is looking forward to welcoming him in India. Dr. Jaishankar also met his Greek counterpart, Nikos Dendias. In a tweet, he said he had an insightful conversation on the current global situation.
The Chinese Foreign Ministry has conveyed to the Indian Embassy in Beijing that China will work on the early return of Indian students to the country in a coordinated manner and it's not a political issue. Announcing this in a press release, the Indian Embassy in Beijing has said that the Chinese Foreign Ministry has assured it that they are cognizant of the welfare of all the foreign students, including Indian students. The Chinese side also conveyed that the return of Indian students was not a political issue and they will not be discriminated against in any manner while deciding on the return of foreign students to China to resume their education. The Chinese side will continue contact with the Indian Embassy on this matter. In a somewhat positive development for Indian nationals, particularly for more than 23,000 Indian students who are waiting to return to China, the Chinese side responded to the Indian side's long-standing demand of resuming the normal people-to-people exchange between the two countries. Mindful of the concerns of Indian nationals, including students who want to return to China to resume their normal in-person education, jobs and family reunion, the Embassy of India in Beijing has been continuously highlighting these issues with the relevant Chinese authorities in the last 2 years. The Sensex and the Nifty today declined more than 0.5% amid negative global cues recovering from early losses. The BSE Sensex closed near 57,300 points while the NSE Nifty ended below 17,111. A report from the Business World.
The Sensex fell 383 points or 0.7% to finish at 57,301, while the Nifty slipped 114 points or 0.7% to settle at 17,092. Asian stocks plunged while safer investments and oil prices surged amid deepening Ukraine crisis. Share markets in Asia fell as investor sentiment dampened after Russian President Vladimir Putin ordered troops into breakaway regions of eastern Ukraine. Hong Kong's Hang Seng slipped 2.7% and Japan's Nikkei 225 lost 1.7% and South Korea's Kospi fell 1.4%. Singapore's Straits Times Index and China's Shanghai Composite Index both declined 1% each. European share markets were up marginally in intraday trade. Oil prices logged rapid surge to hit multi-year highs amid deepening Ukraine crisis. The crude prices climbed more than 2.5%. In intraday trade, Brent crude was trading around $97.80 per barrel. Kamal Saxena for World News, All India Radio.
In chess, Indian Grandmaster R. Pragnananda defeated world champion Magnus Carlsen in the 8th round of the Athens Masters competition. Pragnananda, who is a chess prodigy, won with black pieces in 39 moves Monday to halt Carlsen's run of 3 straight wins.
Now let us take a look at the major developments around the world as reported in the foreign press. Let's take a look at the press reports on Nepal. ANI writes that China-inspired Nepal parties continue to protest against the US-backed MCC compact. Citing media reports, the publication writes that the protests against the MCC by some parties in Nepal are inspired by China. It adds that China is lobbying against the infrastructure grants that the MCC aims to provide the Himalayan country. The Himalayan Times reports that the Nepali Congress General Secretary Gagan Kumar Thapa expressed hope that by the time the Millennium Challenge Corporation deal would be put to vote in the House of Representatives, ruling coalition partners would change their mind and vote in favor of the deal. Khabar Hub reports that Nepal police have arrested 37 individuals, including Chinese nationals from Old Baneshwar of Kathmandu, acting on a tip-off. A team of Metropolitan Police Range, Kathmandu, on Monday night apprehended 37 people, including Chinese nationals, on the charge of carrying out suspicious activities, including bypassing calls. ANI reports that Foreign Secretary Harshvardhan Shringla has said that India remains committed to building momentum of regional cooperation under the BIMSTEC framework. Republica writes that the British ambassador Pollitt vowed that the UK government would continue its support to Nepal on its efforts for climate change adaptation. Rising Nepal Daily reports that Prime Minister and Chancellor of Lumbini Buddhist University, Sher Bahadur Deoba, has said that the outcome of the state's investment in the education sector would be ensured only if education was linked to development. The Kathmandu Post reports that Nepal's outstanding external debt decreased slightly during the second quarter of the current fiscal year 2021-22 in domestic currency terms compared to the first quarter, despite an increased flow of foreign loans during the quarter. Most Nepalese publications carry reports on the escalating Ukraine issue. And now some news from Afghanistan. Pajwok News reports on India's pledge to deliver 50,000 tons of wheat to the war-devastated country through the Pakistani land route. The publication states that dozens of Afghan trucks arrived at Wagah border to transport the first consignment of India-donated wheat to Afghanistan. On India's supply of wheat to Afghanistan, the Kama Press Agency in an op-ed writes that India is to send the much-awaited aid of wheat. However, delays have been caused by Pakistan's refusal to allow the use of its territory for India to reach a landlocked Afghanistan. Pajwok News carried the headline, "The UN has removed the names of the former President Ashraf Ghani and Foreign Minister Hanif Atmar from its leadership list." Pajwok News writes that according to a media report on Monday, former Pakistani spy chief General Akhtar Abdul Rahman is one of the thousands of figures from around the world who have been exposed in a massive leak of secret banking data from a leading Swiss bank. Pajwok News carried the headline, "International Committee of the Red Cross says 24.4 million people in Afghanistan need humanitarian aid."
Let's take a look at what made the headlines in Bangladesh. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina has emphasized the need to gradually come out from the subsidy system in the power and energy sector, reports BSS. Planning Minister M.A. Manan told media after the meeting of the Executive Committee of the National Economic Council ECNEC that the Prime Minister Hasina has suggested to come out of the subsidy system gently, which should also be economically acceptable. A quick look at the headlines once again. New Delhi calls for restraint and mutually amicable solution to Ukraine-Russia crisis at emergency session of UN Security Council. Air India flight from Ukraine carrying over 240 Indian nationals takes off from Kiev for Delhi. India dispatches first wheat shipment as humanitarian assistance to Afghanistan. External Affairs Minister of India Dr. S. Jaishankar welcomes European Union's commitment to contribute to security of Indo-Pacific region. China says it will work on early return of Indian students to the country in a coordinated manner. And in chess, Indian Grandmaster R. Pragnananda defeats world champion Magnus Carlsen in Airthings Masters competition. And now, before we end, let us listen to Mahatma Gandhi's favorite bhajan, Vaishnav Jan, by artists from Kyrgyzstan. And with that, we end this bulletin. We'll be back at the same time tomorrow with the next edition of World News.